Good afternoon, Bina. Friday the 17th of July, it's HR Bullets time for Julie Grimes and Bina Briggs. Friday again.
Friday again, and good afternoon, Julie.
Coming around fast, it feels like yesterday we did this.
Just like that, yeah, that's right. But it's sunny again, so it's good.
Yeah.
And it's Friday.
Absolutely. So welcome to HR Bullets with Bina and Julie for today. We're going to be talking a little bit more about what we spoke about last week with the new announcements from the government. We felt that it's, because it's only been a week, we wanted to emphasise some extra information in this mixed bag of help we have from the government, which Bina's going to tell us about. But generally, I'll touch on the flexible furlough scheme, dog retention bonus, including the Kickstart, which is causing a little bit of confusion at the minute, the apprenticeships and the training side. We're also going to touch on redundancies again, because that is still quite up there and current with employers at the moment. So, Bina, let's start off with the flexible furlough scheme update.
Okay, well, flexible furlough scheme started from 1st of July, as you know, and this means that where employers can actually bring employees back in to the workplace to carry out some of the work. Now, it's quite likely the term meaning flexible furlough, i.e. they can switch on and switch off the employee to be on furlough. So, if they've got part-time work or reduced hours work, they haven't actually, built it up to full steam yet, then, bring your employee back into work for a number of hours or a couple of days or whatever it is. And the rest of the time, they can still be on furlough, which the government would pay. So that continues until end of this month, where, the employee would still get 80% of the furlough, obviously, less the number of hours they work for you, because you would have to pay them on full rate. So that's the bit. And then obviously for, if you wanted to carry on flexible furlough all the way through to end of October, no problem at all. But then just be mindful, as we reminded you before, that as an employer, you will then have to start contributing towards the upkeep of the employee, as it were. So, from August, you'll have to start paying the national insurance and the pension contributions. Then in September, then add on to top of that 10% of the furlough pay. And then in October, it goes up to 20%. So it kind of goes back, getting up to the point where come November, you would have your employee back to you on full pay and everything else. So that's the way it's going to work. Now, obviously, there are people still trying to work out what's the best way to deal with their employees. And it is causing a number of people questions and queries, and kind of, I think it's kind of a muddle in a way, because they really want the best option for them, for the employer, for the company, and the best option for the employee. And there's so much out there in as much as what the government is offering you as a menu of options. It is like when you've got a big menu of things and you think, I really just don't know what to choose. What's the best thing here? And I, just then kind of put the pin on it and say, right, that's the one, or not, or hopefully not like that. But so this is where it's causing a number of my clients a headache as to decide what's the best thing for them and for their employees for the coming months, and obviously to go forward from November onwards as well. So that's flexible furloughing. In that mixture, you also got holidays, because as you know, it's summer and the sun is shining, and a lot of people now are feeling fairly hopeful of having their holidays in the summer months in August and September. So in a way, that means that people will be either they've already booked the holiday and they want to hold on to the holiday, and you pay them, and again, just make sure that they're being paid at full rate and not at furlough rate if they're on furlough. And if, for instance, somebody's booked a holiday, but they don't want to take it, then as an employer, you have a right to say, yes, please, you carry on taking that holiday. Yeah.
I do think it's around a little bit in the last couple of weeks. People are wanting to have that break now rather than accumulate it. Certainly with my clients. So hopefully that balancing things out a little bit. But you're right in terms of making sure they pay full pay for the holidays, isn't it? And that the employers are aware of this.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what for flexible furlough. The other thing is the one that the government announced just a week ago. It's about the job the job retention bonus scheme, which says that our one-off payment will be given to employers if they carry on having their employees who've been on furlough, to keep them on employment until end of January. So that means that it is just being given an incentive to say, look, don't try and get rid of all your employees. Hold on to as many as you can, at least until end of January, which will then give you the eligibility of having £1,000 per employee. So it's something for both parties.
By January, hopefully, we're going to see more positiveness, even if it's through at the minute. Hopefully, it's going to be a little bit more than a drip.
Yeah, I think people are feeling a little bit more confident as things are starting to open up, and restaurants, and you can go out and eat now, and people are looking at having a normal life with the family and so on. So yeah, I think it's coming along. So that that about the bonus scheme, I think that is a good incentive. If you've made people furloughed over the last couple of months, and maybe you may want to continue putting them keeping them on furlough for a while, or flexible furlough even, that still would count, because you still got those employees on your workforce come end of January. And if that's the case, then you would then be eligible. So it will be a nice little bonus for the employer as well. The Kickstart scheme is the next one, and this is where any 16 to 24-year-old who's been long-term unemployed, and they are actually eligible and claiming universal benefit, they're the ones who you can take on board. And if they're with you for 6 months, then for that period at least, and they must get minimum wage, of course, but that means that the government will be paying for that all the way through. So in effect, you've got somebody free for 6 months. And of course, they have to be, with relevant skills and, for your business, so that they're meaningfully gaining employment, gaining experience with you, and training. And, in return, you're getting somebody good. And if you think about how many people are out there, youngsters, who are really looking for a job, they haven't got a job, they're students, they've just graduated, there's nothing going on. So yeah, I think that would help both parties, and yeah, I think people should take advantage of that.
And if they choose to go forward, it would be fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially because this is really meant for an incentive for employers to take on youngsters without feeling that, oh my God, A, I can't afford, or B, what kind of experience would they have, or what kind of, skills are they going to have if they've either never been employed, or, if they have been long-term unemployed. But it actually gives everybody a chance to work together. So I think it's a great scheme.
I think it's
yeah, and then you've got the apprenticeships. So, well, the apprenticeships, again, whether it's under 25 or over 25, all it is saying is that you would get another £1,000 extra over and above what you normally get if you take on an apprentice. If you take somebody on and they are employed until end of August, at least, then you would get a payment, another £1,000. Now, sorry, not £1,000, it's £2,000 if they are under the age of 24 and 1,500 if they're over 25. So it's quite a lot of money, you know, to get over and above the £1,000 you normally get. So I think that's another worthwhile initiative for you to think about if you are looking for, you know, taking people on board to go forward and get your workforce sorted, you know. So I think, and obviously, you know, if you're offering any traineeship, then that again gives you another £1,000 as an employer if you take on a trainee. So whichever way you look at it, there's so many number of options here that the government is giving you, not only, you know, options and different categories of employees, if you like, but to suit your business. But not only that, but they're giving you, you know, money on top to say, you know, you do this and we'll give you some more money. So I think it is kind of something worthwhile to think seriously about. I think we talked about holidays and all that, and these are all the positives, you know, and I personally think that there are really lots of positives in here if people want to really take advantage of them, and, you know, they should. On the flip side, as always, you know, gonna talk about the R word.
Oh, I know.
Sorry.
Lots of redundancies. Lots of people I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Lots of people at a young age. So if anyone's interested in taking somebody on the positive sides of and getting help financially from the government, to speak, you know, definitely speak to me as well. But yeah, there's lots of people out there that are still losing their jobs. So we have to talk about the R word, Bina.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And especially because we're still on, what, 17th of July, and the furlough scheme, you know, the full one, is still until the end of the month. So a lot of people are thinking about letting go of employees by the end of the month. And, you know, when they have to start contributing from 1st of August. And this is where, yeah, you know, it's quite, well, it's kind of, once I kind of thought about it, and it is really quite disheartening. It's kind of, you know, amazing how many people you hear of being made redundant, or how many people who are being given, you know, they've been given the notice now, and you know, it's going to happen. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who are going to be made redundant, perhaps it's going to be where it will take a long time for them to gain employment, purely on the basis that if you think about how many people have been actually made redundant, how many people are already unemployed, and now we're talking about making more people redundant. So it kind of is a balance. So, you know, we could say, well, a lot of people are being made redundant, but on the other hand, on the flip side, if employers were to take even one or two options that the government has given them to kind of balance it out a little bit, that means that, you know, youngsters could be in, you know, in work, and that kind of helps anybody. And if you think about all the people who are being made redundant who would have so many skills, such skill sets, experiences, so start thinking about how you can take those people on board and make use of them. You know, somewhere down the line, there must be somewhere how you can actually get them on board. So I think it's going to be a while yet. But with the R word, the only one thing that I would say is that employers must follow the process just because we are with this furloughing and flexible furloughing and the bonus and whatever, we must still follow, the process that goes with the redundancies.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it would be unlawful. Yeah.
Yeah. Paperwork, selection processes,
Consultation, everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the
calculations. And calculations on their redundancy money as well. And people, the number of people who asked me, but do I need to pay them notice? Of course you do.
Yeah.
But if they're on furlough, why do I need to give them notice? Well, either you give them notice and you pay for that notice period in full, so they're still with you, but they're serving the notice, but that's on full pay.
Yes.
Or you pay them as payment in lieu at the end, but that's also on full pay. There's no cutting corners there at all.
Okay.
But no, I have been asked the question, well, why do I need to pay them full notice? Well, they're on furlough now, so yeah. So do I still have to pay them notice? Yes, you do.
It's in your employment contract and it's legally binding, so yes.
Yeah. And of course, redundancy, people understand that. People understand a bit about leave. Either you're taking the leave or, you're paying for it, for anything that's accrued and not used to the last day of service. But not many people, I think it's more about people chancing it to say, I'll just try it on. And so that's why they're saying, well, do we need to give them notice? Yes, of course you do.
The good thing, they're asking us, and I've been asked as well this week, they're asking us for the advice rather than just doing what they think. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think there will be some people who are just kind of doing it and just hoping for the best and just, think that, oh, well, I could just wangle it through. But it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And why would you want to do that? Because I would expect you as an employer to have integrity, be fair, be reasonable, work with the contract of employment, work with the employee, So that's us today.
It is. And be kind in business, I think, is the new buzzword at the moment going forward.
I like that. Be kind in business. Yeah. Be kind in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people generally are maybe more in life, but in business it can be a little bit harsh and cutthroat and ruthless. And it's people's lives that are at stake. We understand businesses are also at stake because if they don't cut and make redundancies, they might not have a business. So just everybody be kind.
I know, because I think people say that, it's kind of a very blah kind of word when you say, oh, we're all in the same boat. Okay, my boat might not be the same as your boat, but we are all having the same kind of life experiences where every single day we all have to make some tough decisions about our life, and so nobody's actually escaping at the moment, no matter what. So I think that's the only thing I would say, that think about it and think about every single person in your company as a human being. Just like you, they've got a life and they've got people in their life and they've got to make decisions. And quite likely, if they're working for you, what you have to think about is they haven't got as much money as you have.
Absolutely. So look at your government menu, have a look at your choices. If you need any help,
exactly.
Speak to myself or Bina. One of us will be available to talk to you and answer any questions, however small or large it might be.
It doesn't matter what it is. We're happy to answer any questions. I'd much rather answer a question which would make the difference of getting it right or not.
Absolutely.
So any question is all worthwhile.
And overall, let's think about the positives that the government are helping.
Yeah, exactly.
We have turned a corner. As I said, it might be drip feeding in, but it is definitely turned a corner. There's a few people recruiting at the moment as well. We've got heaps and heaps of candidates. However, yeah, it's coming back slowly, and let's think positive.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining me this week, Bina.
Thank you for having me.
Always great to have you on board and be able to share your expertise with others clients out there that need help.
See you then. Bye. Bye all. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.
Good week.
Bye, Bina. Bye.
Bye, Julie.